Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In case you're brand new here, I'm Stav, and this is my channel, She Equips Herself. I'm here with my wonderful husband, Mac, and today we're going to be talking about a problem that we've run into in gun classes.
Hey guys, so me and Stav, as we were planning our new class, the Practical Handgun Academy, we were talking about a lot of things that we wanted to make sure we got right. As she's been through classes, I've been through a ton of classes, and there's a lot of things that classes get really right, and you end up going to the class and you come out of it and you have a lot more information, you're a lot more capable than going in. And then sometimes you come out and you go, I wish it was a little bit more like this or more like that. And as an instructor for concealed carry for many years, I kind of got to see a lot of students come and go, and I got to talk to them about like what their needs are and what they're looking for out of the class. So I continually tailored my classes to try to meet the expectations of my student. And I would even bring, when I was going to teach a class, I would bring multiple different firearms so that I could shoot firearms that were real similar to what my students were shooting, so that I could make the drills really relevant and show them all the little tricks I do with small guns versus big guns, with revolvers and everything else. So that kind of led us to having a discussion today while we were working in the garage on a fishing rod holder of all things, but that's what we were working on. And we kind of came up with this idea and we wanted to share it with you. And that's kind of like your expectations when you go into a handgun shooting class. And what I see all the time, and what's happened to me many, many times, and I didn't really notice it quite as much until Stav and I started training together, because my background was in the Marine Corps, and then law enforcement, and then SWAT, and then I've been teaching law enforcement for many different areas, and being in SWAT, everyone kind of runs certain gear, and then a lot of SWAT operators are firearms instructors as well. And then as you move in and you start training normal patrolmen, you get to see, okay, things are slightly different. And that's what we kind of have seen a big difference in what people expect out of a handgun or a self-defense class and what is delivered. And oftentimes what is delivered, and what I've seen so many times, is the instructor will come into the class with a rig like my old SWAT rig, right? So you have like a drop leg holster, you got your mags over here, you might have a dump pouch in the back, and then they'll come up and they'll oftentimes be running, I've already checked these weapons, they'll be running a rig like this, like a full-size firearm. Now everybody's got a red dot. I still cannot carry a red dot at my police department, so I don't have one on this, but many people with a red dot, just so you know, like this is a aftermarket barrel for increased accuracy. It has an aftermarket trigger to smooth it out. I've stippled it. It has a extended magazine release, an extended slide stop, and it's kind of, I beveled out the bottom for mag change. It's a slightly augmented firearm. It's certainly not a stock firearm, but it's nowhere near the augmentations that a lot of instructors bring to the table. And they come into the class and they have full-size firearms with red dots and flashlights and trigger jobs. And by the time that gun is being shot, it's probably $2,500, $3,000 firearm. And now they're going to be teaching students, and some students in that class might be SWAT operators, patrolmen, police officers, military, and they might have some higher end gear, at least just a full-size firearm, so it kind of transfers over. But then what happens is a lot of people don't carry those firearms. I know that almost none of my police officers carry their full-size firearm off duty. And I know my SWAT operators don't carry their SWAT handgun off duty. So what happens is that people carry smaller, lighter firearms off duty, and that's very, very different. Stav carried a Shield, Smith & Wesson Shield, for many years, smaller, lighter firearm, 3.1-inch barrel. She's currently carrying a Glock 42, small, light firearm. And when you go to those classes and you experience what the instructor is giving you with those large, high capacity, low recoil, trigger job, red dot firearms, it's different than when you use your concealed carry firearm. Something like a Glock 42 is dramatically different than a Glock 34. I mean, there's just a huge difference in size, all of it. The grip, look at all that grip, like big difference. Just so you know, I weighed these before the class. I weighed them both fully loaded. Right? And there is a 26-ounce difference from the full size, fully loaded, to the Glock 42 with a small concealed carry firearm, fully loaded. That's more than a Glock 17. So a Glock 17 weighs more than the difference here. So it's a big difference. You could absolutely feel that large gun on your body compared to that Glock 42, which is a much better concealed carry firearm. So training with your concealed carry firearm, if that's what you carry, if that's the most common firearm that is actually on your body, that's the firearm you should be training with and practicing with the most. You're probably not going to be as good a shot as you would be with your full-size trigger job, awesome super gun. But you probably are not carrying that full-size gun on your body most of the time. You're probably carrying something smaller and lighter and easier to conceal. So it's very important that you do your training and you practice with those firearms.
I remember Mac and I took an IDPA class. It's a type of shooting competition if you've never heard of it before. But we went to this IDPA competition together, and I think we both carried or shot our carry guns.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I had a little shield. And what did you carry then?
I think I was carrying a Smith & Wesson M&P 9C at the time, but that was the old 9C with the 3.5-inch barrel and the 12-shot magazine.
Still a carry gun.
Yeah, it was like a Glock 26 if you're familiar with that firearm.
Right.
Kind of blocky but small.
And so my mindset going into things like that is I want to train with the gun I'm going to carry because I can practice with something else just for fun. But if I want my training to be valuable for the way I'm going to carry a gun and want to defend myself, then I'd rather not have as great a score as somebody else, but practice with the gun that I'm going to be carrying. Because a lot of people will go to those competitions with these like tricked out, super expensive competition guns, and then you're shooting your concealed carry gun. You're probably not going to shoot as high a score as them, but at least you're getting valuable training. And if you want to just shoot there just for fun with a really expensive competition gun, that's cool. But when I go into things like that, I like to get as much practice as I can with my carry gun. So even if you're not going to get as good a score, it might be worth it to shoot your own carry gun in that situation. And
during that class, we were the only two that had like concealed carry firearms. Everyone else had a full size or a compact that was, we were the two loners that that brought guns that we actually carry. So. And I think in that situation, your ego can make you want to bring a bigger gun that you're not necessarily carrying because you want to get a good score. I had shot IDPA many times before, so I knew what I was getting myself into, but I like to train with the gun that's actually on my body. And we still did really well. Like we cleaned up pretty well compared, especially compared to the firearms we were running and some of the other people. So in any event, you look at that and you're just, you gotta be conscious and understand that most of those people are not carrying that gun as their concealed carry firearm. They're not carrying that CZ75, that full-size CZ75 as their concealed carry. Now, a few of them are, and if you do, I'm not talking to you. I'm sorry, click on. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm talking about the people that love to go to the range or shoot IDPA or do something with their firearms and then put that firearm in the trunk and then put that little gun on and then go out to lunch, go out to dinner, go to the movies. That's who I'm addressing. You have to train with the firearm that's going to actually be on your body when a bad situation comes across. And it's something that I don't see all the schools I've ever been to, all over the place. Nobody really trains hard, actually does a lot of shooting with their small concealed carry firearms. It's all big gun, big gun, big gun, and then let's fire 25 rounds, 50 rounds with the small gun, and just that's it. And the other thing that occurs is, for instance, when I was teaching concealed carry courses, I would always use a small concealed carry firearm because I expected my students to come with concealed carry firearms, with small guns. And oftentimes they did. And a lot of times after they trained with me at least once, they kind of got my viewpoint on it, and they would show up with their little guns, the ones they actually carried. So I would always carry something similar to what I thought most of my students were going to have. If I thought my students, a whole bunch of them were going to go pocket carry, I'd carry a little tiny gun and go pocket carry. Most people would go inside the waistband at my classes. It's real popular with like a Smith & Wesson Shield size firearm. So I would carry a Smith & Wesson Shield size firearm. But I wouldn't do is I wouldn't go to be the instructor knowing that most of my students are going to be showing up with concealed carry firearms and show up with my SWAT gear and my drop leg holster and this gun, because it doesn't transfer correctly. Some information transfers, but it's one of those things. If you're an instructor out there, figure out, like, you know, like when I was a SWAT operator, I would never go to teach a patrol class with my SWAT gear. I'd put my normal patrol belt on and my normal patrol firearm and then teach the class. Because what you want to do as an instructor is give your students the absolute best information you can, and hopefully they succeed. And not only with that, but they look to you to kind of get to understand how good they are and to understand if they're doing something correctly. So if you're blowing the target out the window and just putting a hole through here with your super gun and your students can't do that, it doesn't really translate quite as well. So you want to be consistent. As an instructor, you want to be consistent, and as a student, you want to be consistent. Don't show up for your concealed carry courses with your super gun and then not carry it. Show up with the gun that you're going to carry and train correctly.
It's also discouraging to students, I think. And I've been to classes like this where the instructor has this like giant super gun, as you called it, and they're doing amazing, and you've got your little kind of hard to shoot concealed carry gun, and you're not doing nearly as well. So it's discouraging from a student's perspective as well when you're not using the same kind of gear as them and you're expecting them kind of to do as well as you.
So one thing Stav and I made sure that we did is when we designed the Practical Handgun Academy, we made sure that we focused on the firearms that we see people carry the most. The small 3-inch barrel semi-automatics is what's most common. I think that most people that I know of that carry a firearm on a regular basis, especially through the summertime, trying to not transition from different guns from winter to summer. But most people are carrying a single stack 9mm, which is, you know, maybe a 365 is not considered a single stack 9mm anymore, but those small 1-inch wide 9mm, 380s of the same variety, maybe slightly smaller, maybe even some pocket guns, J-frame revolvers, or even, you know, a 2.5-inch medium frame revolver, but a short barrel, things like that. But we wanted to focus on making sure that we provide training for concealed carriers out there, because it feels like it's extremely difficult to find that stuff. You could go online right now, go on YouTube, and you could see a ton of these super high speed drills that are being done by these outstanding instructors, but you can't quite get there with maybe a concealed carry firearm, a small one, but also your skill set needs to be instructed correctly so you can get there eventually as well. So you have to be instructed at a slower pace, you get a solid foundation and all the major skill sets you need, and then you continue to train until you can get to some of those high level instructor type things. But it seems like when I look at YouTube and different videos, it's like everyone just jumps to like Navy SEAL, you know, Green Beret, Reconnaissance Marine, like they're all they skill. Like, how did you get there? Maybe we can talk about how you got there. So our entire focus for the course that we put together is to teach you how to get there, how to get a solid foundation, how to get solid basic skills so that you can grow those basic skills and eventually get into that super high-speed training. But you need that foundation to get there.
So when we were putting together the Practical Handgun Academy, it's our online course. So it's a live fire online course you can do on your own time, but it helps you to have a plan when you go to the range. So you watch mostly Mac instruct all the different drills.
Stav does all the shooting, or she does a lot of the shooting anyway.
I do a bit of the shooting. But he'll give you the instruction, then you go to the range and practice whenever you want. And the cool thing about it is that there's an online Facebook community that you can become a part of once you enroll in either one of our courses that we are a part of. So if you have any questions while you're doing the drills and going through the course, you can ask them in that group and we will answer you, other students will answer you. So it's a really great place to ask questions and just share your progress as well. So you get to start and stop the course whenever you want. It's really flexible because I know a lot of you don't have time to go to a ton of gun classes. These are all basically, all the lessons are basically every single one of his courses that I took that got me to where I am as a concealed carry shooter. So it's a really great course for you guys and we're excited to have it out there for you. So we really hope you guys like this video. If you want more information on our Practical Handgun Academy, which is currently open for enrollment, check the links and information below and we'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Bye!